The Generals of the Yang Family, Chapter 16.
Picture this scenario. You're a CEO, maybe a world leader. You've just pulled off this massive high-stakes merger or, a perfect diplomatic summit. It's done. You won.
Right. Time to go home.
Exactly. Your security team says, "Great job, boss. Car's waiting. Let's get you back to safety." And you look at the map. You point to the headquarters of your absolute worst rival.
Oh, no.
A company that has been trying to bankrupt you for decades. And you say, you know what? The weather looks nice over there. Let's go do some sightseeing in their lobby.
It sounds like the setup for a disaster movie, doesn't it? That moment where everyone in the audience just starts screaming at the screen.
Yes.
But this isn't a movie script. This is a very real, very pivotal moment in Chinese literary history.
It really is. Today we are unpacking a classic example of famous last words from the world of historical fiction, Chapter 16.
And this text is so fascinating because it sits right on that blurry line between military history and folklore. And the section we're covering today, it's a masterclass in hubris.
Total hubris.
It features Emperor Taizong of the Song dynasty, his nemesis Empress Shao of the Liao dynasty, and stuck right in the middle, trying to clean up the mess, is the legendary Yang family.
And what a mess it is. How a peaceful religious pilgrimage turned into a life-or-death siege. We're going to look at the decision-making, the military blunders,
and the incredible heroism required to fix a mistake that really never should have happened in the first place.
But I have to start with the emperor. I mean, was he actually serious?
He was deadly serious, and that's where the tragedy of it all really begins. To understand why he made this decision, you have to look at the context.
Okay.
So the source material opens with the Emperor Taizong leaving the capital and heading to Mount Wutai. Now, this wasn't a vacation. It was the fulfillment of a solemn vow.
Right, and let's unpack that vow. The text says he had 3 specific reasons for this trip. First, to fulfill a wish of the late emperor. Second, to pray for peace for the common people. And third, to secure the stability of his own reign. I mean, these are not trivial things.
Exactly. These are the actions of a good Confucian ruler. He's checking all the boxes of piety and responsibility.
Right.
He arrives at the temple, he meets the monk Zikong, stays at the Yuanhe Palace. The atmosphere is described as incredibly reverent. There are bells, drums, grand ceremonies. It really paints a picture of stability. He is doing the right thing.
So he does the rituals, he sleeps at the palace, everything's great. Mission accomplished.
You'd think so.
The next day, his ministers, who seem like the only sensible people in the room, say, "Your Majesty, the vows are paid. Let's head back to the capital immediately."
A very reasonable suggestion.
We don't want to run into any spies, they say.
And remember, Mount Wutai is beautiful, but it's on the borderlands. It's dangerous territory.
But Taizong refuses. And his reasoning is, well, it feels almost like a tourist complaining about their itinerary. He basically says, "I live deep in the palace. I never get to go out. Let's just stay one more day and look at the scenery."
The classic one more day.
The vacation mindset creeping into a military zone. So the monks, obviously wanting to please the emperor, take them out to look at the view. And to be fair, the source describes a pretty spectacular view.
It does. It says there's a peak where you can see Yuzhou in the front, Taiyuan in the back.
And that geography is absolutely crucial.
It is. Taiwan is Song territory. That's safety. Yuzhou. That is the ancient capital of the region. But at this moment in history, it is firmly Liao territory. That's the lion's den.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The emperor points to a grassy area in the distance, Yuzhou, and he just asks what it is. And we have 2 advisors with 2 very different reactions. First, there's Pan Renmai.
Pan Renmai. Well, in the lore, he's often the villainous sycophant. He tells the emperor, that is Yuzhou. It's an ancient capital site. It is the best scenery around.
He's basically selling it like a travel agent.
Completely. But then you have the 8th prince, Ba Wang. He immediately jumps in and cuts right through the flattery.
And what does he say?
He says, and I'm paraphrasing the translation here, "Are you crazy? That's where Emperor Shao lives. Going there is walking into a trap. We need to go home right now to avoid humiliation."
So he's the voice of reason.
He is the voice of strategic reason. He correctly identifies that a fine scene is completely irrelevant if it's controlled by a hostile military power. Empress Shao isn't just a neighbor. She's the head of the Liao dynasty, the Song's primary rival.
So you have a clear warning. It is a trap. And the emperor's response, it's honestly just breathtaking in its arrogance. He brings up history.
He does. He invokes the memory of Tung Taizong, a legendary emperor from a previous dynasty who successfully pacified the Liaodong region.
So he's comparing himself to a legend.
He is. Song Taizong says, he went to the battlefield personally. I have thousands of troops here. Why should I fear Empress Shao?
It's such a classic logical fallacy. He's confusing his identity with his capability.
Yeah.
Just because you hold the same title as a past military genius doesn't mean you have his skills.
Exactly.
He literally says, you guys just follow me, don't worry about it.
And he's confusing the presence of an army with the security of an army. A few thousand honor guards on a sightseeing trip are not a combat-ready force.
Well, right.
But he overrides the 8th prince. The text notes that the 8th prince dared not advise further. And that silence, that is the sound of the system failing.
So they march. They leave the safety of the mountain and they head toward a place called Binyang. And surprise, surprise, the trap springs.
It does. The text says flags obscure the sun and dust covers the sky.
That's some dramatic imagery.
It's classic Chinese literary hyperbole, but it serves a function. It tells us the Song forces have lost the initiative. They're reacting now, not controlling. The sun is blocked. They're in the dark.
And this is where the genre shifts from political drama to pure action. The emperor asks, who can go check this out? And this is where we meet our first hero of the day, Yang Yuanping.
Finally, a professional enters the chat. Yang Yuanping is a general charged with protecting the emperor. He doesn't debate history, he just steps up.
He's described as 6 feet tall, majestic, awe-inspiring. He volunteers to clear the road.
And on the other side, we have the Liao general, Yi Luqi. The source gives us a great description of him. Face like black iron, eyes like flowing stars, wielding a large pole knife, riding a red-maned horse.
He sounds like a boss battle in a video game.
He does, and he acts like one too. He starts taunting the Song forces, telling them to retreat or die. But Yuanping isn't intimidated at all.
He throws the insults right back.
Oh yeah, calling him a stupid barbarian and telling him to shrink his head and hide.
Now, we should probably pause on the language there. Barbarian is obviously the translation of the term used in the text.
Right. It's important to remember that for the Song, this wasn't just a border dispute, it was a clash of civilizations. The Huayi distinction, civilized versus barbarian, was central to how they motivated their troops.
So it's not just trash talk.
No, Yuanping isn't just being rude, he's asserting Song cultural superiority as a weapon.
And militarily, at least, it works. They fight, and despite looking scary, Yi Luqi gets completely overwhelmed. He flees, and the Song troops just steamroll the Liao forces.
It's a decisive tactical victory for the Song. Yuanping chases them for 5 miles, but this tactical victory leads directly to a massive strategic failure.
How so? I mean, they won the fight.
Because it validated the emperor's bad idea,
Ah.
Taizong is greatly pleased. He decides to station the royal carriage in Binyang City. He thinks, see? I told you we were fine. We beat them.
So confirmation bias kicks in. He stops running. He settles in. That's the fatal flaw.
That's it.
He doesn't realize he just swatted a hornet's nest?
Precisely. If they'd used that victory to punch a hole in the line and run back to Wutai, they might have made it. But by settling in Binyang, they gave the Liao time to communicate. While Taizong is celebrating, the news of the defeat is traveling back to Yuzhu, to Emperor Shao.
And let's switch perspectives. What's the reaction on the Liao side? Empress Shao is surprised, right?
She is. The text says she couldn't believe the Song Emperor was there just for sightseeing. Even his enemies can't believe how dumb this decision was.
It almost defies logic.
It does. She probably thought it was a trick at first.
So yeah,
But Empress Shao is a pragmatist. She switches modes instantly. She realizes she can capture the Emperor of Song. This is a game-ending move if she pulls it off.
so she calls a war council. The Tianqing king, Yi Lushan, volunteers to lead the army.
And then another heavy hitter joins in. Ma Delingong, who is also known as Han Yanshu. They take 10,000 cavalry.
10,000 cavalry
Ugh.
against a stationary target.
And they don't just attack, they besiege. They surround Binyang City 4 times over. The text describes it as watertight.
That is a terrifying image.
Yeah.
Watertight. Nothing in, nothing out.
Yeah.
So inside the city, the mood shifts from mission accomplished to total panic. Taizong finally starts to regret his decision. He wants to send Yang Yuanping out to fight again.
But this time, Yuanping says, whoa, hold on. And this shows why the Yang family are the heroes of this story. They aren't just berserkers. They're strategists.
So what's his reasoning?
Yuanping recognizes that the enemy morale is sky high now, and their numbers are superior. Going out is suicide. He advises patience. He actually forces the emperor to wait.
But waiting must be agonizing. The siege gets louder, thunderous shouting that shakes the city.
Oh, absolutely. Taizong climbs up a tower to look out, and he sees enemy camps stretching for miles and miles, and he asks the question he should have asked days ago. How do we get out of here?
And the answer is, you can't.
Not alone. Pan Renmei, the same guy who suggests the sightseeing, says the only hope is Yang Ye, the patriarch of the Yang family. In the lore, he represents the pinnacle of loyalty and martial skill. If Yang Yongping is the sharp spear, Yang Ye is the shield wall. He's the one person the Liao actually fear, and he's stationed nearby in Daizu.
But they're surrounded. They need to get a message to him. So who volunteers?
Yang Yongping again, of course.
This guy is incredible.
This whole sequence is so cinematic. He hides the imperial decree on his body, gears up, and charges out the east gate. He runs right into a Liao general named Lu Bi.
And I noticed the text emphasizes silence here. In the first fight, there was all this trash talk. Here, Yan Enping didn't speak a word.
That silence is so powerful. It signals desperation. There's no time for insults, no time for posturing, just pure, focused violence born of necessity.
He just gets the job done.
He thrusts his spear, knocks Lu Bi off his horse, kills him, and breaks the line. He makes it to Daizu, finds his father, and hands over the decree. And Yang Ye's reaction is immediate.
Right.
He mobilizes the 7 sons. It's actually the father plus 7 sons, 8 generals in total, and they ride for Binyang.
Okay, so now the strategy gets really interesting. Because the Liao commanders aren't stupid. Their scouts see Yang Yi coming.
They do. And usually in these stories, the villain sends out a champion to duel the hero. But the Qianqing king does something different.
What does he do?
He holds a council. They acknowledge that Yan Ye is a tough enemy. They know that if they force a direct confrontation while Yang Yi is trying to save his emperor, the Yang family will fight to the last man. It would be a meat grinder for the Liao army.
So they choose not to fight.
They choose to fight smarter. They decide to retreat 5 miles. They open the siege.
It's like the empty fort strategy, but in reverse. They want to let him in.
It's called catching the turtle in the jar. If you block Yang Ye outside, he's a mobile, dangerous force hitting your rear. But if you let him enter the city,
he becomes just another mouth to feed, trapped behind the same walls as the emperor.
You neutralize his mobility. It's a brilliant, diabolical move.
And Yang Yi arrives, sees the enemy retreating, and he spots the trap immediately. Right.
He knows. He says the barbarians retreating without fighting must have a scheme. But, and this is the tragedy of his character, he goes in anyway.
Why? If he knows it's a trap.
Because his primary directive is to secure the emperor. He can't leave Taizong exposed inside while he waits outside. He has to consolidate his forces. Loyalty overrides tactical survival.
So he rides in. And the emperor is clueless. He's celebrating. He thinks the Liao army ran away because they were scared of Yang Yi's reputation.
It's painful to read. Taizong says, wow, you showed up and they fled. He's ready to pack his bags and head home tomorrow. He still hasn't grasped the severity of the situation.
And Yang Yi is the one shaking him, metaphorically. He says, no, we have to leave right now. He wants to use the confusion to break out immediately.
Yang Yi knows that door is closing. He's pleading for speed. But even as they are having this conversation, literally as the words are in the air, the scouts rush in.
The Liao army has returned.
They have.
Just as you predicted, the emperor says. Wow, that line lands heavy.
It's the final nail in the coffin for this part of the story. The trap is snapped shut. The turtle is in the jar. And you can notice the shift in Yang Ye's demeanor. Before, he was rushing. Now
what?
Now he tells the emperor they have to wait and observe the enemy's strength before they can make a new plan.
Because the window is gone.
Exactly. Breaking out when the enemy is retreating is one thing. Breaking out of a set fortified siege line is another. They missed their chance because the emperor wanted to celebrate instead of evacuate.
And the army outside. It's a suffocating 8-sided formation of the Liao dynasty's absolute best forces.
And you're not just a soldier.
No. You are the emperor of the Song dynasty, Taizong. And you are, for all intents and purposes, a rat in a trap.
It's a scenario it goes way beyond just military strategy. It's existential dread.
It is.
This is the breaking point. This is where loyalty meets the blade.
Exactly. And to really set the scene, you have to understand the geography of this despair. The city is locked down completely. The source calls the Liao army the Northern Barbarians, and it describes them as so dense that there's just no gap.
It's not a blockade, it's a stranglehold.
A total stranglehold.
And standing on a tower, looking at this whole mess, is Yang Ye. He's the patriarch of the Yang clan, Lord Yang.
We know.
right, Linggong, and he's with his eldest son, Yuan Ping. Now, usually in these stories, the general looks out and gives some big, inspiring speech, We can take them.
Yeah, they look weak on the left flank moment.
But Yang Ye does not do that. He looks at this formation and he drops maybe the heaviest comparison in all of Chinese military history. He brings up Zhuge Liang,
Which is huge.
massive.
For anyone listening who knows their three kingdoms, Zhuge Liang is the apex predator of strategy. He is the wizard of war.
Mm-hmm.
And Yang Yi basically says, even if Zhuge Liang were reborn today, he couldn't figure a way out of this.
And that's the moment hope just dies.
It's over.
When a general like Yang Ye says even Zhuge Liang would fail, he's telling his son that a conventional victory is impossible. The mission changes completely. It's not, how do we win anymore?
It's how do we get the emperor out alive?
It becomes a rescue mission where the rescuers are already trapped inside the burning building. He specifically worries about the civil officials. He knows he and his sons, being these incredible warriors, could maybe cut a path and die fighting.
The emperor and his whole entourage.
They'd be slaughtered.
And that sheer desperation, it just creates this vacuum.
A vacuum that the eldest son, Yuan Ping, steps right into. And I think this says so much about the Yang family ethos. The father is paralyzed by the tactical reality, but the son, he starts looking for a political or maybe even a theatrical solution.
Theatrical is the perfect word. Yuan Ping suggests a plan that is pure theater. He says they can't fight their way out, so they have to trick their way out. And he's not just making this up. He cites a historical precedent. He brings up the Jixin stratagem.
Right, which is a callback to the founding of the Han Dynasty. We're talking about 1,000 years before this.
Wow.
Emperor Gaozu was trapped in a city, surrounded by the warlord Shang Yu, and his general, Jizhen, dressed up as the emperor.
And rode out to surrender.
Exactly. It bought time for the real emperor to slip out the back. The enemy crowds around the fake emperor, the perimeter gets loose, and the real target is gone.
So Yuan Ping is suggesting a direct replay of history.
He is. He says, unless we imitate the plan of Jixin, there is no other way. But there's a very dark side to this plan.
Yeah. Jixin did not survive that trick.
No. When an enemy army realizes you fooled them, they don't exactly applaud the performance.
It's a suicide mission.
It is a suicide mission, and Yang Yan knows it. When he talks about the plan, he says, it is hard to find a person loyal and righteous enough to die for this. It's almost a test.
Who loves the emperor enough to accept certain death?
And Yuan Ping doesn't even blink. The text says he has no look of difficulty. He just volunteers. Immediately, he says, I am willing to die to move forward.
Which is so striking because he's the eldest son. He's the heir. He's the one who's supposed to carry on the family name.
It's a critical point. He isn't just sacrificing his life. He's sacrificing his place in the entire lineage. So Yang Yi takes this incredibly heavy proposal to Emperor Taizong.
And this is where we get a really fascinating look into the emperor's psychology.
You'd think he'd just be relieved, right? Thank God, a plan.
But he hesitates. Initially, he refuses. He says something like, how can I bear to harm your closest kin to save myself? This is not what a benevolent person does.
Do you buy it?
That is the question, isn't it? I mean, on one hand, it could be genuine Confucian guilt. The ruler shouldn't devour his children to save his own skin.
But on the other hand,
he's a politician. He has to say no first. If he agrees too quickly, he looks like a monster.
I think you're right. It's the performance of benevolence. He needs to be convinced, so history records his hesitation.
And Yuan Ping gives him the perfect argument. He uses the jade and stone metaphor.
If the city falls, jade and stone burn alike.
Meaning if the emperor dies, everyone dies. The precious jade and the common stone, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yuan Ping reframes his own death not as a tragedy, but as a path to glory, a way to leave a name for 10,000 generations.
He gives the emperor a moral out. Don't worry, your majesty, this is for my glory too.
And just to push the decision along, reality intrudes. A report comes in.
The South Gate is crumbling.
The enemy is on the walls. The debate is over.
And the description of the swamp, it's so visceral. The emperor literally takes off his dragon robes and hands them to Yuan Ping.
It's a profound moment. Yuan Ping puts on the clothes, he gets into the imperial chariot, he becomes the emperor.
And this is where the family is just torn apart. We need to lay out the two teams here.
Yes. So the escape team going out the east gate is small. It's the father, Yang Ye, and the two youngest sons, the sixth, Yan Zhao, and the seventh, Yanxi.
The youngest go with the father to guard the real emperor.
Correct, which leaves the decoy team at the west gate. And this is the suicide squad.
Yuan Ping. the fake emperor.
And with him are the second son Yanding, the third Yanhui, the fourth Yanlang, and the fifth Yande.
5 brothers. And they have to know. They have to know they're not coming back from that west gate.
They have to. The plan only works if they walk into the lion's mouth.
So the deception begins. Yuanping sends out a surrender letter. And what's interesting is that the Liao generals, they actually debate it. Han Yanshu is suspicious.
But his logic is totally flawed. He argues that because the Song are so desperate, because their force is exhausted and food is running out, the surrender has to be real.
It's confirmation bias. He wants it to be true, so he believes it.
He falls right into the trap, so they agree to accept the surrender. The next morning, the theater begins.
Pure theater. Surrender flags go up at the west gate. The entire Liao army is just staring at that gate.
And while all eyes are on the west,
The real emperor, Yang Ye and the others, slip out the east gate. The text says they're light cavalry. They're sprinting for the capital.
they're gone. The first part of the plan worked. But the play at the west gate isn't over.
No. Yuanping rides out, and the source describes the whole spectacle, the yellow flags, the chariots.
Right. And waiting for him is the Liao King, Tianqing Wang. And the text describes him as sitting on his horse as if no one else was there.
Total arrogance.
He thinks he's won. He sees the emperor coming to Bo. And he shouts, come out of the carriage, I won't harm you. He's playing the generous conqueror.
But inside that carriage, Yuanping isn't preparing to kneel. He is furious.
It's an amazing emotional turn. He's supposed to be playing a role, but the warrior inside just breaks through. He sees this king acting so smug, and he basically thinks, if I don't kill this thief, how can I wipe away my shame?
Is the shame from the surrender itself?
I think it's the shame of the whole situation, that his emperor had to run, that his family is being destroyed, and he decides to turn that shame into one last act of violence. He grabs a bow.
It's so cinematic. He's hidden by the curtains. The king is just sitting there completely exposed.
Yuanping notches an arrow. He orders the cretins raised, and before Tianqing Wang can even process what's happening, Yuanping fires.
The text is so efficient here. One sound rings out.
And Tianqing Wang just falls, shot right in the neck. Dead. Instantly.
Wow. You can just imagine the silence, the shock through that entire army. They came for a surrender ceremony and they just watched their king get assassinated.
The source actually pauses for a little poem there. How much does a commander achieve in a moment? In an instant, a barbarian minister dies under an arrow. But you're right, that silence, it does not last long.
No, the ruse is over. Yuanping steps out of the carriage. He shouts his real identity. I am Yuanping, son of Lord Yang. Let the brave come and fight.
This is the last stand, and we need to be clear, this is not some glorious battle. It is a massacre.
Yeah.
The Liao general Han Yanshu loses his mind. He orders his entire army, tens of thousands of men, to attack this tiny group.
So let's walk through this because the text is so specific about how they fall. It starts with Yuanping.
Right, and Yuanping is at a massive disadvantage. He was in a chariot dressed as the emperor.
No horse, no armor.
He's a general without his tools. Han Yanshu charges him with a spear. Yuanping tries to fight, but he's basically immobile. He's speared right off the carriage. The eldest son, he's the first to die.
And seeing that, the second son, Yanding, he rushes in.
He sees his brother fall and just charges. He fights another general, Ye Luqi, but he's surrounded. And the enemy tactics are just brutal. They don't fight him one-on-one.
What do?
They go for his horse. The soldiers just chop the horse's legs out from under him.
Oh, man.
The horse goes down, Yanding hits the ground, and the text says he's trampled by 1,000 armies.
That's a horrific image, not a warrior's death, just crushed, obliterated.
And then there's the third son, Yanhui. He sees his brothers are dead. He knows it's over. He tries to break out.
Does he make it?
He makes it a few miles. He's riding for his life, but the Liao army had prepared the battlefield. They'd set traps in the tall grass. Hooks and ropes.
Oh.
The hooks catch his horse's legs, the horse trips, Yanhui is thrown, and before he can get up, soldiers who are hiding in the reeds just swarm him. He's slaughtered right there.
That's 3 down. What about the fourth son, Yanlang?
Yanlang is in the middle of the fight. He hears his brothers are down and tries to fight his way to them, but he gets caught between the 2 main generals, Han Yanshu and Ye Luqi.
2 on 1.
In the middle of an army. He never stood a chance. His troops are wiped out. He fights until he's overwhelmed, but he isn't killed. He's captured alive.
So when the dust settles at that west gate, the cost is just staggering. The emperor is safe.
Yep, Yan Yi and the 2 youngest sons are safe. But the core of the family, Yuanping, Yanding, and Yanhu are dead. Yaoling is a prisoner, 4 brothers, gone.
The family is shattered.
The breaking of the family, and it really makes you reevaluate the emperor's benevolence at the beginning, doesn't it?
He knew. He knew exactly what he was asking for.
He did. And this is what loyalty meant back then. It wasn't just a feeling. It was a transaction, and it was paid in blood. The Yangs didn't just serve the emperor, they dismantled their own lineage for him.